This week we are continuing with our Christmas-themed episodes, and we're going to be talking about another movie, one of our favorite Christmas movies, a really good one, a really funny one, and we're going to learn a marriage lesson from that. Today we're going to be talking about the chaos of Christmas and really just the chaos of marriage and life, and how do we deal with that, especially during the holiday season. So stay tuned. Hello, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. This is Rusty and Heather Bryant. We're glad to be back with you this week and right in the middle and the thick of the holiday season. And so we're going to continue with the holiday-themed episodes. One of our favorite Christmas movies that we're going to be talking about today is Christmas with the Kranks. So
I bet there's a lot of people who haven't seen that one.
Probably not.
What's the name of the book it's based off of? Skipping
Christmas. John Grisham, Skipping Christmas. And so the movie we're going to talk about today is actually based on that book, but it's called Christmas with the Kranks. I think it came out in 2004. See, I did my homework.
Yeah, you did.
And so if you want to grab that one and watch it during this holiday season, it's pretty stinking hilarious. And but there's some real truth to marriage life in that, and so we're going to talk about that. And really what we're going to be focusing on is just kind of the chaos around the holiday season. But really, when you think about it, marriage and life in general is pretty chaotic. And so we're just going to kind of give some tips on that, how to maybe slow it down, at least in some ways during this holiday season, but really just how to embrace maybe some of the chaos. So yeah, so let's just chat a little bit about it. So if you haven't seen the movie, the very, very, very brief version of that is the Kranks family. I think it's Jamie Lee Curtis and
Tim Allen.
Yeah, Tim the Tool Man.
Yes.
That's before
Tim the Tool Man
a
Taylor.
lot of people's time, but not before our time. So Tim Allen, who's also the guy in Santa Claus, Santa in Santa Claus. But this particular movie, this is a family that typically goes all out for Christmas. They live in a neighborhood that goes all out. Everybody is just, the decorations, the parties, the gifts, the giving, the charity, just everything is so overblown every Christmas. And right after Thanksgiving, I think the day after Thanksgiving, their daughter leaves to go to Peru for she's in the Peace Corps. And so they know that she's going to be gone for Christmas. And so Tim Allen, his character in the movie, he's just frustrated with the chaos of Christmas and just just how much they, the pressure they put on themselves to be the best at everything, and the decorations and the parties and all that kind of stuff. And so he sits down and does the math and comes up with some crazy figure like over $6,000 is how much that they spent on Christmas the year before. So that's everything, the decorations and the food and the parties and the gifts and the charitable giving, all that. And so he comes up with this great idea that he wants to just completely skip Christmas, and he wants to take that $6,000 and they're going to go on a cruise.
Just him and his wife.
Him and his wife, a 10-day Caribbean cruise, because they're like empty nesters, and they're like, we can do this and get out of here. So the funny part of it is that they make a pact to nothing. They're not going to do anything Christmas related. So they have to keep reminding each other and challenging each other, but at the same time, they're trying to prepare for this cruise. And so they're doing spray tans.
And their neighbors are all mad at them because they're not decorating, and they volunteer to decorate for them.
I think they even put they run an article in the newspaper with everybody's houses all lit up, and theirs is just dark.
And the police get involved. It's real dramatic.
Yep.
But the spray tan is hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's a very funny movie. So it's really they're trying to kind of escape the chaos, and then they create more chaos on themselves. But really, where it comes in, and this is the spoiler part, but if you read the plot anywhere online, you're going to get the spoiler plot. You'll see the plot anyway. But their daughter, I think it's like the day before Christmas, she calls and she says, "I'm at the airport in Miami."
Or the day before Christmas Eve, because it's the Christmas Eve party.
Maybe so.
Yeah, that they're trying to make, that she's trying to make.
I'm not real sure when she's coming, but it's like either the day before something, and she says, "I'm on my way home with my new boyfriend, and we are still having the big party tonight." And so they just scramble because the mom says, "Oh yeah, we're doing it." And so then it just becomes massive chaos. They're trying to find enough food. They're trying to get people to actually come to the party. They're inviting, begging people to come.
But everybody's mad at them.
Yeah,
so nobody wants to come to the party.
It's just complete chaos. And so anyway, it ends up obviously being very funny. They get home. You can watch it. There's a real sweet moment at the end too with what they end up doing with their tickets to the cruise, and they bless somebody that needed blessing. So just a great story behind it too. But when I was thinking about that, I've actually been thinking, we listed several Christmas movies that we wanted to talk about, and I think you actually said this one last week as one of them that we wanted to talk about, and that's when I started thinking about just how chaotic life is for most people. And then we get to church this morning, and that's pretty much what our sermon, the sermon was on. It was just about the storms of life, and and really how he was tying it into Christmas is just how, if you think about Christmas songs, now there's a lot of real fun and upbeat and happy Christmas songs and stuff, but there's a lot that talk about peace and tranquility and silence, silent night and just
way in a manger. Yeah,
and and peace and sleep and and I'm like,
that's
not. And that's not even really. We know that's not what the actual Christmas and the birth of Jesus. That was even chaotic.
Right.
All the events surrounding that. But how many of us really take time to actually remove chaos from our life during Christmas?
Right. Well, and life is chaotic anyway.
Yeah.
Just in marriage can be chaos. In just regular time. So at Christmas time, it's just like chaos on steroids, it's just, and everything's amplified even more. So, which makes it even more difficult.
Yeah. When we talk to when we do marriage coaching and talk to couples, that's usually the number one thing that people are still, a lot of people come to us with some pretty big issues, but the current things that they're dealing with is just the chaos of life.
That's right.
And the schedule and the busyness and like, how do we do this and where do we make time for each other? Like, how do we keep our marriage from falling apart when there's just complete chaos going on around?
Well, and a lot of people will say that things stem from that because of the chaos,
because of
the chaos,
because of the wonderful thing.
They can't find time to communicate. And, so there's so many other problems that can't get solved because of the chaos of life. Like you think, oh, well, if we could, take our children away for a little while and the chaos gets less, then we could work on communication or we could, but that's not reality, So, so Christmas just, I think, the holiday season in general just adds to that frustration and the, like we talked about last week, the areas of disappointment and things like that. They just are amplified, I think.
Our life is pretty chaotic, and we don't even have little children that are in the mix. And, I was just looking back or looking through our calendar for this next week, and just, there's something every night, and tomorrow night we've got couple of marriage coaching sessions, and then the next night our senior in high school has a soccer game, and then the next night we're practicing for a Christmas program that we've been asked to sing in. And then the next night we've got a Christmas dinner that we're going to. And the next night we go out of town for a 3-hour trip to a soccer game. And, it's something every night. And so these, we know that life is just a grind for most couples. And then at Christmas time, you're just compounding it because of everything that has to be done before Christmas.
Yeah. And, not only that, but I was thinking about, dealing with other people during the Christmas season. Like, it's not just your, immediate family that you're having to deal with,
Yeah, you kind of take everybody else's chaos on top of yours.
I mean, you got, in-laws coming in and cousins coming over and, family. And that adds a whole nother dynamic to the chaos, is having other people that you have to worry about at that time too. So it's kind of like, you have your chaos, and then other people are bringing in more chaos, and it just gets really overwhelming.
Yeah, and you add things on top of it, like the buying gifts and making
financial stresses.
Yeah, and wrapping presents and finding time to do that, and it can be a real stress point for most marriages. So when when we think about that kind of thing. When we just think about the stress of the holiday season and the chaos of Christmas, one thing that I do want to say is there is a part of it that it's like, okay, let's just embrace it. Like, we know that it's gonna be that way, and so there's a part of it that's like you accept it in some ways, and you not just, I want to say welcome it, but it's probably not going to be like that forever. It'll be a different type of chaos. And so the chaos that you're in, find joy in that chaos. I just feel like there's a lot of people that get so stressed out and so upset about everything that they have to do and everything that's going on, that they miss the joy and miss the relationship part of it, and just miss being, miss the what Christmas is supposed to be about.
Right. And I don't think that's a new message for anybody. Like, I think that people have probably heard, don't miss it. Just enjoy. Don't miss especially the meaning of Christmas. You hear that everywhere. Don't take Christ out of Christmas. And, there's all these cliches or different sayings that people say and you hear during the holidays. But being able to take that and really apply it to your life and what that could mean for the season that you're in and the state that your marriage is in right now. And taking that and being thankful for the little things. I know that we've talked before about being thankful for things that, even like folding clothes, when that's driving you crazy and you're like, oh my gosh, these clothes never end. But being thankful that you have a family to fold clothes for, or a spouse to fold clothes for, and trying to take your perspective and how you look at it and turn it into gratitude and thanks. And so I think that is also something we can do around this time, that even when, grandparents and cousins and aunts and uncles are everywhere and you want to pull your hair out, you can say, thank you that we have family that we're doing this with, and trying to find joy in that. Even if they drive you crazy, there's people that wish they did have a family that they could celebrate with. And then also really take advantage of your spouse being a team, like you and your spouse being a team through the holidays. Like, instead of them, driving you nuts or you being upset with them or angry with them, whatever, take it as, okay, hey, we got to stick together. These other people are crazy, but let's, make sure we stick together and trying to be a team with your spouse.
And a lot of times it really is, sacrificing and kind of doing some things that maybe wouldn't be at the top of your list, and I mean, heck, that's shopping. Like, that is at the bottom of most of my lists. And we spent most of the day yesterday shopping. And I knew that it was just a time for us to be together and to knock out some Christmas gifts and all that kind of stuff. And so I just think it's important that everybody sort of recognizes, the team, like you said. I mean, and being a part of a team is sometimes doing some things that wouldn't necessarily be your first option, but you're doing it because you want to be a part of the marriage team, and you want to be with your spouse, and that's a really big part of combating the chaos, is being able to do it together. And I mean, heck, we even like today, even getting this podcast in. We both had to lead worship at church this morning. We always record on Sundays, so it's Sunday afternoon. And we have a small window of time because our small group comes over. And so even before this, we were both running around the house, and it was, you do this, I'll do this, you do this, I'll do this. But it was just, hey, in order to get everything done, because this is not even a Christmas-related thing. This is just a normal, chaotic Sunday. And so we're just being a team. And we talk about being a team on here so much. And if there's one thing that you guys can do to really strengthen your marriage during the holidays, it's just be a team together. I love that you mentioned that, because if you can solidify, me becoming we, and just be that team during the holidays, especially, it will bleed over to the rest of the year.
When you're saying team, you're going to laugh at me, but you remember those things? Well, I played basketball, and so they didn't call them this in soccer, I'm sure, but we ran suicides where you run to the thing and then run. Well, somebody might not know. So you start at the end court and you run to the free throw line and back as fast as you can, and then all the way to the half court and back, and then the other free throw line and back, and then to the other end and back. Same thing on the soccer field. And when we had people on our team that didn't do what they were supposed to do, or they were late to practice, we had to run those as a team. We had to do things that may not necessarily be our fault or necessarily be our thing, but we had to do them because we're a team. And I think about shopping or grocery shopping or, I can't think, cooking, whatever. All those sound like three things the woman should do stereotypically. But there needs to be part of you that says, okay, or Christmas parties. My husband has a work Christmas party that I really don't want to go to, but you go to support your spouse, and you do things that may not necessarily be your quote unquote fault or necessarily your responsibility, but you're working as a team to knock those things out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And here's the tip.
You were looking at me a little weird.
Were you about to say something? I didn't want to forget
this,
but the marriage tip here is that you do it lovingly and willingly, and almost there's some things that will come up, and your spouse is going to know that you don't really want to do it, and they kind of, sorry, we got to go to this work Christmas party or whatever. And in order to blow their mind, you go, oh, yeah. Let's, be excited about it. And the whole reason, and sometimes they may say, what are you actually excited about this? And the response is, yeah, because I'm going with you. That's the kind of thing that will really just grow and make your marriage even more healthy and throughout the holiday season. Like when your spouse says, I got to run out to the mall because I forgot this and I need to pick up this gift, and you say, oh, can I go with you? And they're like, what?
Or can I keep the kiddos while you go by yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, just little ways to bless your spouse.
Yeah, and that was another thing you just brought when you said that, because you need to know what your spouse needs, what your spouse wants and needs, and that's being in tune with them, because it may be that they don't want you to go shopping with them. They would rather you stay with the kids, or
better yet, ask.
Yeah.
What could most help you?
Yeah.
Don't try to guess.
Yeah. Do you want me to go with you?
Yeah.
But I was going to say another thing is during the chaos of the Christmas season, you also need to be in tune with each other, because one of you may love the chaos. The other one may despise the chaos. And you have to be willing to give and take a little bit there. And it could be that both of you just love the chaos. And if that's the case, then, maybe you're not spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to get downtime into your life. Now, everybody needs it. Everybody needs downtime, whether you believe you do or not, whether you think you do or not. But if you both thrive on just the hustle and bustle of the season, then by all means, go for it, and enjoy it and just go all out. But if one of you is a little less excited about all the chaos of Christmas, then there's got to be some sort of a balance. One of you would need to embrace some of that at times, but the other one needs to recognize we got to have some downtime. Like there's got to be some real margin put into our schedule to where we ain't doing nothing but sitting on the couch. And, we're putting on our quitters and we're going to sit on the couch and watch a movie.
One of those 12 dates.
Yes.
Of Christmas.
Get that 12 Dates of Christmas free resource that we've been offering to everybody. But I do think that that's really important, is to know and understand what your spouse needs and wants during this time. Now, for those of you that are like, oh, there's no stopping, there's no breaks, it'll happen after the first of the year. Or even if you're that couple that's like, yeah, we just like to go, 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 go. Everybody needs to take a breath at some point. And if you don't, it's just like, if you don't recharge batteries,
you're going to crash.
They crash. And what will happen is you will crash on each other. And you'll crash and you'll take it out on each other. And so, I don't know, let's just throw out a few little, maybe 2 or 3 ideas this is for everybody. So whether you love the chaos, whether you don't like it at all, one of you likes it, one of you don't, everybody needs a little bit of chill time. So let's just give some thoughts on what are some things you can do between now and Christmas, or at least the first of the year, to make sure that you're putting that margin into your life. One of the things that I would say is when you do finally get home in the evening, and even if it's been a full chaotic day that both of you loved more than anything else, there needs to be some time to put the electronic devices and the phones away. Because I think that a lot, especially during Christmas, that just adds to the stress, because you're seeing what everybody else is doing. And you're thinking, well, we didn't do that, or we should have done that, or why didn't we go on this trip or this vacation, or why didn't we get to buy that gift, or where's my truck, where's my truck with the bow on it, where's my little puppy, there's just all of this, and it can just add so much more to the chaos that's already there. And that's also the time that's being taken away from your spouse. Now, I understand, look, we are normal humans that live in 2023, and we enjoy chilling and looking through things on our phone as well, because you love looking at puppies and stuff like that. I am huge into sports, and so I am constantly looking who signed from the transfer portal and all these things. So we enjoy that, but if we're not careful, then it occupies every bit of our extra time, and we can't let that happen.
Agreed.
You're not giving any?
No, I'm really thinking about that one. I'm like, oh, he definitely was talking to me on that one.
I was talking to myself.
Yeah, we both do it.
For
but
sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good one.
But that's, I don't know. I think almost everybody needs to do better in that area.
Probably not many people that don't.
Yeah.
I would say, sorry, you caught me thinking on that one.
Okay.
I think one important one would be to talk through your week, or at least the next day before you get to that day. Like there shouldn't be any surprises on what you have to do that night. Well, I didn't know you had that Christmas party, so now I'm here with the kids by myself, and I needed to do this. Just talking at least the night before about the next day. But what you and I do is try to talk about the week. What is this week going to look like? Just so that there's no surprises. I think that would cut down on some of the chaos. It, like you said, I mean, you just told everybody our entire week. And even though every single night we have something, we know what's coming. And so there's not anything unexpected. So it doesn't cause any, extra stress.
Yeah. And if you're being really proactive and you really are trying to keep each other in the loop on all the different things, there will be things that come up.
Mm-hmm.
There is something that came up even for us over the next few days that one of us didn't put on the calendar and we didn't know about. And so, but there's so much more room for grace when that happens, when you're really being proactive and working on it, because stuff like that's going to happen. And you just go, oh, well, let's shift some things around and shuffle some things and we'll make it work. But if it's just a constant, hey, you got to come to this thing with me. What? Like, that just being
Where was
caught
that
off
communication?
Yeah, being caught off guard like that is just really hard during the
and
holidays.
I mean, even like yesterday while we were shopping, we had to take an hour and a half break because I had to run to the doctor.
Yep.
I mean, that was completely unexpected, but I was having a few little symptoms. I knew something was coming. And so I just went and got some medicine to take care of it. And that was very short lived. And thankfully I got on top of it, but people are going to get sick. People aren't going, I mean, there's just, you can't plan for everything. So when I talk about, trying to look ahead at the calendar, it's just trying to be prepared for as much as you can be, and being thoughtful of the other person in that process.
Yeah, and I would say, so we've mentioned the electronics, or just your phone. Let's be real. Take some time to remove yourself from that so that you can spend time with your spouse and make time to communicate each day so that you're not caught off guard by things. And then I would say those are some pretty simple things. They're not as simple as they sound, but to even take it a step further, I would say, think about your calendar as you're working on it from, now to the first of the year, and be really intentional about, hey, there's nothing on the calendar this day. So either we're going to protect that day. Like nothing's going to get on there. And even if it's just, we just don't want to do anything that day. Like, let's be our family together. Let's just protect it. And just that day is booked because you're not going to do anything. Or, maybe it's just, hey, we need to get a babysitter that night and you and I just go out and we're not going to talk about who's getting what present. We're not going to talk about money. We're not going to talk about work. It's just going to be us. And that's how we're going to make time for our marriage during the chaos of the season.
Yep. I like that one. Do I have time to mention one more?
Yep.
Let's be very, very purposeful this year too in remembering what Christmas is about. And maybe even instead of waiting until Christmas morning or Christmas Eve to read the Christmas story, maybe do that as a family early on, earlier than normal for Christmas, and just saying, hey, this is the Christmas story. This is what why we celebrate the birth of our King, and just make that more of a focal point than all the hustle and the bustle. And I mean, we've been there. We know. I mean, so when they're little and Santa's coming, all of that is so fun and exciting, and you're doing all of that as a family. And those are the things that our world puts the emphasis on. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those things. It's just making sure that as a family, as a husband and wife, you take a minute to just talk about and remember what that first Christmas was like and what it was about and why he was born as a baby in the first place. Like, the reason why he was born is to then grow up and die on the cross for our sins. And that's all part of our story. And so just making sure that you don't miss that.
Well, and Jesus did come for peace, and it's for peace in our hearts. And so even when there's chaos going on around you, there doesn't have to be chaos in your heart. And so as you're making time for your marriage and, your family and things that we're talking about making physical time for. You also need to make time in your heart to just have peace and rest and be able to, really just, even, when you have marriage problems and things that are going on, relationship issues, those are things that cause chaos, not just on the outside, but they cause chaos in your heart. And so, just like you're saying, to make room for Jesus, well, making room for Jesus is also making room for peace. And that's just peace in all areas. So if there's stuff that you and your spouse are struggling with, like, this is a great time to handle that and take care of that and make peace in your home. And if there's relationship problems outside of the home, to make peace there. And, because like we said, there's so much going on around us, but it doesn't have to be that way inside your heart. So really cry out to Jesus about that during this holiday season, and make sure that that's a big point of having a peaceful heart. We talked about that at church this morning. The storm may be raging around you, but inside your heart there's peace and there's quiet and stillness.
And he said that that Jesus didn't say he was going to give you peace like a thing, like he is peace. So he's giving you himself.
That's right.
And that's how he brings peace to our hearts and to our situations, to our lives, and of course our marriages.
That's good. Hey, if you haven't downloaded our free resource, the 12 Dates of Christmas, go do that. It's on our website at theredeemedmarriage.com. And it'll give you some great date night ideas. So perfect for, setting aside some time, just like we talked about on this episode. And we'll be back with you next week with another movie.
And we'll do next week. And then the next week is Christmas
Eve.
And Christmas Day would
Christmas
be when
Day.
it,
So
when
we'll
it would release.
off.
So we won't release a new one on Christmas Day. But we'll have a new episode next week.
Look forward to being with you then. So have a great week.